Probably you've heard a lot of extraordinary things, I would say, right? Like there are visions, there's throwing up, there's
all that good stuff.
all that stuff, and I wasn't really motivated to go there for the visions or the kind of experience of it. I wasn't seeking an experience. The reason I was motivated to go there is I had kind of come to a kind of like plateau or a dead spot in my relationship. And it was like driving me crazy. And I'm a psychotherapist. I didn't know how to make any kind of breakthrough in this relationship dynamic that was going on. And when my partner said, he heard Jeffrey and Seal, and he said, oh, he'd love to go to Peru. And so I thought, perfect, I'm going to go. I'm going too. and that was my focus. So I had tried a lot of things. Like our theme tonight is engaging your life, engaging what's on your plate right before you. And that's really critical, to have an intention and a desire and a focus to take on a certain part of your life. And I feel that really assisted me. I didn't just go for fun and games, I really went to find out something. And I very well knew that it would be something about revealing myself to myself, and that it didn't have anything to do with changing my partner, which is I was trying to do, Okay, so I just wanted to put a word in about it's so important in life, and also ayahuasca is not really separate from life. That's what I found out. It's an amazing intensification of your own life. It just intensifies what's in your mind, what is your intention, what's in your body, what's in your psyche. I mean, it's just like it's all, okay, you ask for it, here. And there are some surprises, and it's a unique experience in many ways, but it's not really separate. And even though I learned from the material that you guys sent that ayahuasca is called the vine of the soul, or the medicine of the mother, or the healing medicine, I also learned it's called the vine of death. And, that's kind of the part of life that everyone has trouble with. When things they arose, they're going on, and they're seeming to wind down. And we're looking at change. And that's what we don't really feel very comfortable about engaging, right? This is what we want to say, oh, let's not have it, And, but that's when I went into these ceremonies. That's where I was. I was looking for change. I was hoping for change because I was feeling like nothing was changing for the better, that things were getting worse and worse and worse. So it wasn't long before I was in the ceremony that I began to get the picture. The first thing that came up was the encounter with the body, the encounter with sickness, the encounter with miserableness in the body, and the encounter with the insistence on change and death. And so what I saw before my eyes was the first thing I saw was everything started changing. It's like there was no slowing it down. There was just a relentless display of this, and then it changed to this, and then it changed to this, and it changed to this, and it changed to this. I'm going, okay, I get the picture. It's changing, but it never stopped, And so the other thing that I had to feel that I didn't really want to feel was, that sickness and miserableness in the body are a reality. It's, you know, we all know someone who is dying or very ill, or someone who has just died, or, you know, we all know how difficult it is to keep the body going, to keep ourselves vital, and to feel good. And that's one thing that I couldn't escape is, oh my God, you know, it's so difficult to be in a body, because the body isn't always about pleasure and, you know, vitality. It's also about stasis and, you know, slugging through things and having the intention to stick it out. Well, in these ceremonies, like, I had no choice, you know. I was kind of disabled at the level of getting up and walking out. And, you know, there was nothing to do but go through it. So the first thing that was shown was, you know, the nature of my existence. And the whole thing became, for me, like, oh, the bottom line of this existence. What is it? And it was change, it was death, decay, it was like miserableness. And, you know, we kind of forget that, but I'm like to read history. And if you read history, you really get the picture. Like, people didn't live very long, people lived in miserable conditions. We have it really different now. But the nature of life is that it is short, and it's sometimes brutal, and it's going to end. That's it. It's going to end. It's going to change. So that was my first lesson. And then it was kind of shown to me in a novel way that before long, the woman began to appear in my field of vision. Mama, Pachamama, she's called down there. Mama Ayahuasca. And Mama, why Mama? Well, I soon discovered, like, that she is the archetype of our existence. It's like she is the water, the wind, the air, the waves, the earth, the greenery, you know, the bodies, you know, she is the psyche, the soul, the perception, you know, she is the great existence that we're involved in and that we're up against. And she was shown to me in this really bizarre form, which I think it wasn't divine or blissful or, you know, enlightened or anything else. It was like she was from the Wild West, and she was this big madam in a gaming house. And she was in charge of the games. And, you know, she was just like, you know, she was running the show. And, like, it became apparent that everyone was being dealt a hand, you know, and we were all, you know, in the game. And, you know, the thing was, were we really in the game? Were we really going to ante up and pay our, you know, to come in the game? And were we really going to play that hand? And, you know, that was the first point of the engagement. Like, would I come into that game? You know, could I bear to come into the game given what I'd been shown about existence? And, you know, and it was also very playful. It wasn't awful. She was, you know, delighted and saucy and, you know, like showing me, you know, that, you know, I had a part in the game, that I was invited to play, and that, you know, I could use all my skill and all my wisdom and all my daring and, you know, whatever to play this game. But, you know, I really had no choice. You know, I was here, therefore I was in the game, so I might as well decide to play, you know. And one of the ways in terms of this ceremony is the first time I just sort of sat back and watched it all, you know. So, and after that, I dived into the picture and became a part of the action and a player. And I learned that I could speak and ask for clarification. And then, you know, I could answer. I mean, it was as if something else was answering, but it was kind of my own inner wisdom voice giving me an answer. And like the answers were all pretty obvious, but they really weren't especially answers I wanted to hear. You know, they were all about my arrogance, my avoidance, the way I've stacked up my understanding of life, and the way I was actually blaming others and being unfair and being ungenerous, and it went on and on and on and on. It wasn't really fun to see, but it was so kind of unusual to be shown in this way, and because of the medicine, it was all happening in here. It's like it wasn't something I could philosophize about. It was grabbing me, and it was right there in my body. Heat and pain and disgust. I mean, that was one of the big feelings, like, this is what life is about. But the more I really allowed those deep feelings of rejection of life and rejection of what I was saying, the more I allowed them and took them in, and the more I actually just allowed the reflex of vomiting to kind of like throw off all that negativity I'd accumulated, like giving me a stomachache, the more I, the next day I would feel like, kind of like purified, kind of like I'd had the flu and a few days had gone by and I was feeling better, And I could see that it was a cleansing. It was a cleansing process. And it was very visceral. I just wanted to say that. And we don't want to get that visceral in life. I mean, how many people really want it? But you've had a period of being really ill, right? Where you just lay there and you just said, oh, this is so awful, I could die. I felt like that a lot. I just felt like, oh, get me out of here. This is so awful, I could just die. And what I was really feeling like I could die about was this fear of the cycles of life, fear of the, the matter that we are, and how it ages and decays and changes and transforms, and fear of what I saw in terms of the mind. I was like shown a lot of geometric lines, and a lot of figures were in these geometric forms, and I realized, oh, these are my mental patterns. And like I experienced like beautiful birds in what looked like gilded cages, and I knew, trapped in the mind, So I was shown that. And the other thing I was shown that is there's no way to get out of this. There's no way to get out of it. We think we can get out of it by choosing, an elevated path or meditating or staying in the witness consciousness and all of that. But every time we choose a new dimension, it's like we feel like we're leaving the constraints of the mind. But what I saw is we're walking into another field that's larger, that has its own constraints. And like there's no end to the life arising. And we are it. There's no end. It's an endless cycle of endless arisings. And we are here to deal, And so that's what she showed me. I'm giving you the cards. I'm going to win this game. She showed me that. I am going to win this game. And I knew she was going to win this game because there was no way for me to get out of the game. And also, I had to face what she was showing me. I knew that she was life itself. She was just showing me life itself.